live show. We're on the road in Niagara Falls, New York. We're with a couple of New Yorkers. We got Jim and Diane Steele. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Hi there.
Diane, I think this is the first time that you've ever been on the show.
I know, I'm the guest appearance.
I know, we're excited to have you. So why don't you tell folks a little bit about yourself?
So Jim and I do pretty much everything fishing mostly together. We're involved in some of our own things, and then we do a lot of volunteer work as well. We serve on the boards of multiple different conservation organizations here in New York and locally. Spend a lot of time on that, trying to serve and maintain those organizations that the older generation has built, and try to make sure that continues on for generations to come.
Tell me a little bit. You've got a jacket on that says Steel Outdoors Group. You have a jacket on that says Innovative Outdoors. I know Innovative Outdoors is part of Steel Outdoors Group. Talk a little bit about that, Jim.
So it actually just kind of came around as Innovative Outdoors is where it started. And I have Dream Catcher Sport Fishing, which is the charter and the tournaments. And then we've actually got into running a walleye derby, a walleye tournament. We do the scale systems for a couple of the other tournaments. And we just figured it'd be easier for people to find us and associate us with just kind of a group and putting everything under the Steel Outdoors Group. And Diane kind of came up with working on the logo for it and everything else, and that's where we kind of ran with it and kind of one shop stop. So
yeah, it's kind of the umbrella. Everything is under that umbrella. Well, that's really cool, and I think people you guys have so much going on. We show up here and we're like, oh, what'd you guys add this year? You've got a lot going on, but what I'd really like to talk to you guys about today, and I think what people want to know is fishing on Lake Erie for walleyes, and that's something that you've been doing for a long time. I know you fish out of the port of Dunkirk. Tell us a little bit about Dunkirk.
Okay, so like Chris just said, Dunkirk is kind of a nice place to start because you've got access to shallow water structure, deep water structure. You've got the open water, so we can actually play, which with the fish hawk is huge because I can use that in the deeper water for finding water temps and current breaks and everything else. So the great thing there is right off the thruway, we have lodging, we have fuel at the dock, we have fish cleaning, we've got pretty much a boardwalk with some nice little eateries. It's pretty much got everything all in one spot. And they had some other places that I had run out of before, and they just had bits and pieces. This is kind of the whole picture. The marina's been great to work with. Like I said, we run a tournament out of there, so everybody in the whole area has been really on board with everything. So it's just has worked as a kind of a trial and error. We went down there. I had some charters and stuff after a tournament. We had fished that area during the tournament and decided to move the whole operation down there.
It's more of a destination than a lot of areas in Western New York, I think, for fishing, because you do have all of those amenities there. Also, there's some stuff there for the women who maybe don't want to go fishing. There's a huge wine trail there, and some shopping and things that are not too far away. So it's kind of a nice place for everyone to come to, and more of a destination.
What I'm looking for in a destination is ice cream shops, and you guys have that covered down there as well, so I enjoy that.
There is, right on the boardwalk.
Yeah. So tell me, though, about Dunkirk as a fishing port. What do you have for structure? How does that port set up as you're leaving the harbor?
All right, so kind of it's nice because even on the charter, I kind of call it like a milk run. So as we come out within, I would say, 500 yards, I'm actually into fishing water. So we can start right along there, work up along the shoreline for the shallow water structure, which we can get into 5-pound smallmouth just as kind of a little collateral thing when we're getting set up. We'll get into the walleyes, some brown trout, spring and fall, push off a little bit, we'll get some steelhead, and then if we want to push out deeper, we can get into some really big lake trout. And while we're doing all that, we're still in the walleye zone. So even when we're fishing deep open water, we're still running our walleye gear and getting everything across one thing, and we can catch sometimes three species in one troll. So I mean, you experienced it, and when we were out there. So it's a mixed bag of everything, and it's just a short little run. So you can make a pass out and in and be done, or run along the shore. And every day is different. If you don't want to fight the wind, you can go one direction, or vice versa. So there's always somewhere to go. The Van Buren's a great area there. It has some shallow water structure, deep water structure, and it's one of those things when the wind's blowing, because it comes off the hills there, you get a mile offshore, and a lot of times it's flatter than the shoreline. So it kind of gives you the best of three different worlds. So,
Diane, anything to say to that as far as how the port sets up?
I think the unique thing about just Lake Erie in general right now is just that the fishery for walleyes has just been absolutely amazing. The numbers come in every year, and we're just amazed that it's been sustaining such a great fishery there with the walleye classes that keep coming through. And I think that part is really unique and been a lot of fun to fish there.
You guys are used to it in your area, but like when I go home to Minnesota after fishing where you guys are and tell people we were catching walleyes in 120 feet of water, 80 feet down, they're like, "You sure those were walleyes?" Like it just doesn't seem right to them. But it's so interesting, that like you say, you can go out and fish out of your port, and you can be catching them in 35, or you can be catching them in 120.
They're everywhere right now.
They're just everywhere, and it's just finding them and putting the stuff in front of them that they like. So let's talk about that. What does your program look like when you guys are out? Let's just say you're going to go out on a typical day and maybe try to go do the multi-species thing. What does that look like for you?
So we usually will run 3 to 4 boards, planer boards on each side. We will run that spread as long as we have enough people on the boat, obviously, to be legal. Then we usually will run 2 dipsies on each side, as well as a downrigger on each side. So sometimes we have as many as 14, 15 rods out at a time.
Are you running lead core on those boards, or what are you doing?
The lead core on the boards, yep, and then braid on the dipsies, and then just plain old mono on the 20-pound mono on the downriggers.
And are you guys running, I think I know the answer to this, but you guys run a spoon program pretty much all the time, right?
So a lot of times on the planer boards, we like to run stick baits, which depends on where you are. Crankbaits, stick baits. Around here, they're stick baits. And then definitely we'll mix around with the dipsies with some spoons, and definitely on the downriggers, the spoons, and stack them and everything else. So I pretty much haven't touched a worm harness in, I would say, probably
4 years, maybe?
At least 4 years. So we can accomplish everything with the stick bait. We don't have to worry about dealing with a worm. Like I always tell people, it's like if you have worms, it's like having a dog on your boat. So it's maintenance. There's always something. You got to keep them cool. You got to keep them moist, but not too moist, and everything else. So if I don't have to touch a worm, I won't. We can accomplish everything that we do with those, and you have your go-tos, and you can pretty much knock it out. The fishing is incredible. So now's the time to go out there, and if you were the onesie two guy, now you can get your limit within an hour or two. So take advantage of it. We're probably going to be in this from talking with the biologists and what we've seen, probably the next 5 years we're going to be into this. So it's the best it's ever been. So
when we say we're running stick baits, we're running spoons, what sizes of baits are you guys running when you're out there?
My preference is junior size and to the minnow size. So 3, we'll go even all the way down to like a shad size. So like a 2.5 all the way to a 5. Pretty much I don't go anything bigger than a 5. Spoons, as crazy as it sounds, we'll run all the way from the small ones all the way to a mag spoon. And we've had walleyes come up behind them and basically take a mag spoon all the way down to the swivel. So when they want it, they want it. So kind of that whole thing of bigger baits, bigger fish. We've caught 10-pound fish on 2.5-inch baits. So it's just got to be there. You got to fish where the fish are and put the bait in front of them.
Diane, what are your favorite patterns and colors?
Well, I think colors really catch fishermen more than they actually catch fish sometimes. So it's really whatever is kind of working. I think that we do a lot of purple later in the season. So those are, prevalent in our tackle box. Orange sometimes works well. I think it depends on the water and the sun and the time of year.
Mm-hmm. How does your program change as the calendar changes?
As crazy as it sounds, with the consistency of the water in Dunkirk, pretty much I can fish almost the same program from the start of the season right through the end of the season. I don't have any drastic changes. I don't have any area changes. I had that before with other ports, and this is kind of, I don't have to worry about that. So now I can worry about the fishing instead of where I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to be, what I'm going to change. Size-wise, it's match the hatch. That's one of kind of the things that we look at when the fish come up. If they're spitting anything up, pay attention to what that is. The biggest thing is I'm looking for my speed, and I'm looking for my temperatures are the biggest thing, and paying attention to with the boards and the dipsies when you make a turn. Okay, so we're catching them on the outside. We need to speed up. If we're catching them on the inside, we need to slow down. And that's kind of pay attention to what's going on, because the fish are there, especially now. So now you just got to get them to bite, which has been an easy part this past season. So
makes you look like a hero. We got a question coming in from Impulsive Sport Fishing. He says, what kind of backer are you running on your lead core rods? And then he asks, you use tattle flags on your boards?
So we use a high-vis sunline on our backer, just because it's a little bit easier to see. It's also got a higher pound rating with the same diameter as our lead core. So we're running a 30-pound sunline, right? High-vis. So that's worked out really well for us.
How much backer do you have, and what reels are you putting those on?
So if it is a 2-color to a 6-color, we usually run those on a 30 series reel. We run mostly cold water 303s, or for 45s for 7-color to 10-color. And then we always kind of spool them in reverse so that the line, the reel is full with the backer, so that you get the most for your effort.
my job easy.
She's got it dialed in.
Wait, it was a tattle flag. You were supposed to do the
tattle flag. Tell us about that,
I
Jeff.
left you half of it.
So, with playing around with it and experimenting a lot of the times with what we have with wind and waves and everything else, you'd either be, it depends on which way you set them, depends whatever you're running, the brand, you're going to pin them right down. So pretty much run stationary flags, and we don't really worry about it because, like I said, your flag would be down all the time. I mean, a lot of times we're running 10 colors and 5-foot waves, so the flag is useless other than the visual. So I don't really worry about that. We wait for the reaction of the board, either taking the plane out, moving towards the center, watch the rod tips. All the rods are the same, so you can see if one looks different than the others, and then just a feel of you can pick it up, feel if it's loaded a little bit more than normal. So it's kind of a feel. And it's the years of it, and I tell people, like, you get a feel of anything. So something isn't right. If something doesn't look right, most likely it isn't. So the flags really are just a visual more than anything for us.
Looks like Vermont Fishing Adventures checking in. Love the live shows. It's been a long winter waiting for these lives, so they're enjoying the show. We got a question from Jim, and Jim says, how was your 2025 season compared to the years past? I think I know the answer.
Just, I would say incredible. We've had some really good years building up to this, and it was just like, you really didn't think it could get better. And it just like, and it has, and you kind of get nervous about where's it going to run out, when's it going to end, and I get nervous, is there going to be enough forage for all these mouths to feed out there? And when you talk with the biologists, they're saying we have enough forage. It's not the primary forage, but we've got tons of gobies, and we've got, and everything else. The DEC is now, they put Cisco's out there, so now that's another forage that they're kind of rebuild back out there. So as long as we got enough forage out there, we'll be doing good. The fish might not be as big as they could be if there was less numbers, a lot of mouths to feed, but I couldn't even imagine it even what it is now, and I don't know how it could be any better. And even if it gets worse and we go back the other way, we're still going to be way better than we were 5 years, 10 years. So if you compare what happens this year and it slacks off next year, it's still way better than we had 10 years ago.
These are going to be the years they're going to be talking about for a long time.
And we're in the middle of it, loving every minute of it.
When I was over in your neck of the woods last year fishing, it was funny because I'm coming in with Craig, and he's got this gorgeous boat with all the bells and whistles and tools on it. And, we caught a lot of fish. But right next to us is like this tinny, a 14-foot tinny with, a 9.9 on the back of it. And how'd you guys do? We got our limit. Like, these guys are just out here with just real simple, basic stuff, having a good time, catching fish too. So like you say, if the conditions are good and you can get out in the water, the fish are there. You just got to go catch them. We talked a little bit about your program and kind of how you guys do things, but are there some things that you could share with the audience that you feel like these are some things that we see beginners do wrong, that if they make a few tweaks or fix this little thing, it can help them catch more fish?
I think, because I didn't fish before Jim and I were together, so I've kind of been learning along the way, and it's been a little while now, so I think I kind of hold my own. But I think just being able to repeat the same thing that you did and know what you did so you can repeat it, I guess, is really the big thing. So if you ran out of dip seed to a certain depth, you want to make sure you remember what that was. So whatever system you can use to kind of keep that going, and be able to track that knowledge, so you can repeatability, I would say, is like the biggest success that I've been able to pull out of it all.
I would say pay attention to the little things like I brought up about when you make a turn. Pay attention to that. Make sure your baits, make sure your knots are right. Make sure there's no nicks in your line, and don't overthink things. It's just, I always fall back on it. Times really get tough. I know how to fish, so I fall back and just go fish and then work through it. Like there's times in the boat where I just go up front and I sit there and I look at the GPS and I zoom it out and I look at areas about what was out there before and the areas, and like I said, structure-wise, and pay attention to the currents and which way the wind's blowing and everything else, and kind of put all those pieces together. It's not like you've never done this before. You just never really paid that close attention to it. And it's the little pieces that come together and it becomes a big chunk instead of a little piece. So
Yeah, so just getting down to the details. I think that, goes for you guys on Lake Erie, it goes for a guy on Lake Michigan, it goes for a guy anywhere, it goes for a guy trying to catch bass on a farm pond. Like, those little details are going to be the difference between having a good day and having a great day. Looks like we just got some thanks from Impulsive Sport Fishing, and then we got another guy saying he runs 25-pound Power Pro as a backer. Had really good success with that. But just a lot of good things going on here in the chat. So if you guys got another question, drop it in there for Jim and Diane. You talked a little bit earlier about speeds, and you guys are running, you're not pulling worm harnesses, you're running stick baits, you're running spoons. You're like, well, if I turn the corner, my outsides are hitting, then I know I want to speed up. If I turn the corner, my insides are hitting, then I want to slow down. What's the starting speed for you guys when you get going?
my go-to is 2.2.
Down low.
Yes. I don't care what's going on at the top. I don't care about anything other than, like I said, my down speed, the business end of it. That's I'm religious with it. When we get out there, the first thing I do is the probe goes down, and that's my baseline. Like, I want to pay attention to some of the water temps, but the thing is that I want to get the boat set at 2.2, start getting our trolling together. And then once we get our speed, then get our gear out and start paying attention to what's going on. It's 2.2 is kind of fallen in. I used to be a 2, then it was 2.2. Like I said, I switched from harnesses. And then if we have to, we can bump up 2.5, 2.7. I mean, if they're biting, there is no cutoff of how fast you can go, other than you can go too fast for your bait. That's about it. But paying attention to what's going on, start 2.2, and sometimes if I feel like I've made that turn and the outside board is firing, then sometimes I won't speed it up, and I'm going to make more turns to actually force it that way. Sometimes that creates more of a bite, so that might just be a trigger to them. So those walleyes like to follow behind that bait for an extended period of time, and then you change it up a little bit, and that's what makes them fire. They've been there, they've been on your bait, they just haven't had the reason to hit it. So all of a sudden now it's that prey predator thing. It's getting away. I'm not going to let it get away. So it's to me it's making the pieces of the change and trying to make it actually make sense in your head, because most of the time the rest of Diane and when Rich, my mate, runs with me, they just like, go do your thing and we'll do ours.
I think the really interesting thing about the deep water of Lake Erie is that most people don't realize that in the really deep parts, it's pretty much a desert out there. So really the structure comes from the current. So knowing your down speed and what your lures are doing and what speed and making sure that's consistent is really helps to catch more fish.
So Diane, a little bit earlier you said you really kind of started doing this when you got with Jim.
Yeah.
There are a lot of men in our audience that would love for their wife to go fishing. There's probably some that would just prefer that they don't.
I would believe that.
But if there are men out there that want to take their wife fishing, what's some good advice you could give them about, one, getting them to go, but B, once they're there, making sure that it's a good experience?
I would say just be patient. I wanted to know everything about everything. And I kind of had to kind of stake my claim a little bit in the beginning. I was like, let me do it. Let me do it. I don't need you to do everything for me. Teach me what you're doing. Because if we're involved, I think then it's not like we're just sitting there. It's not boring if we're involved and actually doing it too. So I was getting run over a little bit, and I basically just said, like, stop. Like, just let me do it. If I screw it up, then show me what I did wrong. But let me make those mistakes so that I can figure this out too. So,
Jim, what would you say that you've learned on that journey?
That really, in the beginning, she's bookkeeper background, so everything had to be like, she wanted to put everything down, and we're going to build this super program that we could go back, and if these conditions are, and I said, well, that's great to have that, and that's a baseline, because there's days where you're going to say, we can do this, this, and this, and it's opposite. I said, so sometimes you can build the best book, and then the next thing you're throwing it away. I said, so you got to be able to adapt to it, and I just told her, I said, I didn't have a problem with her coming out. The only thing is, I said, you just need to understand, be one of the guys. Don't try to look for special treatment or expect it or whatever else, because
I get no special treatment.
I'm like, you need to be able to stake your claim. And we had an issue, like she said, she was getting run over, and she's like, you gotta. I said, no, you gotta step up to it. I'm like, I'll back you up all the way, but like, this is my side of the boat. You stay on your side. And she did it, and basically that was it. We were good after that. So
I like that idea. Break up those, and a lot of guys do that. They go fishing. Hey, that's my side, that's my buddy's side. So why wouldn't you do it that way too? So that makes a ton of sense. And we got a question coming in here on the chat. I like this question. It's a great question. Ice cover on Lake Erie this year. Kind of a historic year for ice cover on Lake Erie.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to affect the fishing when the ice breaks off and you guys are taking your boat out there?
It may put us a little behind, especially with our May nighttime fishery. I mean, they could really have an effect on that. But over the years and experience from what I've seen, and other people have been around here for a long time, when we get a really good ice cover, we seem to really have, especially when the emerald shiners, we seem to have a really good amount of bait, because that ice pushes through, cleans everything up, kind of revitalizes, especially when it pushes down through the river and everything. It's always seemed like after we have a really good ice that we have really good numbers of bait. So I guess that's out of that big ice fishing great side for especially for the dealers that have been sitting on ice fishing gear for years, wanting to do a big wholesale on it. Now they were able to move some of the stuff. Guys got kind of fired up again. Now we got to look for spring, and I guess the highlight of it, we may start a little later, but I think we're going to get more bait out of it. So from the experience of it.
Should be really good. I think it should be a great year for you guys once again. What are the seasonalities of the port? So if I want to come out there and I want to do that mixed bag thing, when would be the best time I could come out there? And how does that compare if I wanted to come out there and maybe have a chance at a real trophy walleye. What are some of those times a year that you would recommend?
You want to kick in, or you want me to roll it?
I think there's always big fish out there. I think that you just have to keep picking through the little fish to get to the big fish. I think right now in Lake Erie, there's more little fish than big fish. So getting that big trophy walleye is a little bit more difficult than it was probably 10 years ago. So I think the time of year really doesn't matter as much. We have less of the migration now, it seems like, from Ohio coming down into our part of Lake Erie. So I think we have more of our natural fish that live there. So that's kind of been changing the fishery a little bit. But I mean, summer's fun. Our biggest hang up usually is getting the boats in, because they don't put the launch ramps in at this end of the lake as early as we would like them to be in. I mean, there's been people fishing sometimes, if they can get them in, as early as Easter. But like the ice and the towns and all those are all mostly behind on this like May 15th, May 1st idea in their head, where they don't really understand that the anglers really could get out earlier
Most of the
than that.
marinas are thinking Memorial Weekend is like the big, oh, that's the boating season. Well, that's not the fishing season. So we love May 1st to be able to go right out there. And towards the Buffalo end, usually that they can get out there, and then, like I said, we're waiting on docks to go in. It's not a matter of anything other than waiting on that. Kind of June kicks in, the water's colder, it's starting to change over, we're starting to warm up a little bit, the fish become a little bit more active. Some of those migration fish start coming down a little bit more, which is, like Diane brought up, we've become better at catching our resident fish. So even without the big heavy migration, we're still getting our good fish. When we go through, July is great, August has been phenomenal. September is really good fishing. The only problem is in our area, we're more susceptible to the wind. So there's a lot of times where the fish are there, even like right through October, even into November. If you can get out there, the fish are there, but now you're battling with the wind. So it's fish are right through there if you can get to them, and you want to stick it out to get to them. So like I said, that's been a phenomenal right through from the start. I tell people, like, I can fish the same way we did in the beginning, from the beginning of the season to the end. It's just we get a little bit better towards the end. We just can't get out to them.
I think it's also important to note that Diane said, you got to get through the small fish, and you guys call like a 22 a small fish. So
That is true. That is
in Minnesota, that's a great fish. So,
I guess it's all relative,
yeah,
right? Like, we're a little spoiled.
It's all relative. So
I mean, even on the charters, we have a 15-inch limit, and even on the charters, I convince most people to throw them back till we get 18 inches for a good fillet. So, like I said, 20-inch fish are a dime a dozen, really.
Yeah. But pretty. My experience is they've been pretty common. That 20-inch number is, that's a good baseline, and those are great eating fish at that size.
They're delicious.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up here. We got another show coming up at 5 o'clock, our new product launch. I'll be with Trevor. We'll be over on the other side of the booth in a little bit. But was there some stuff, anything else you guys wanted to share before we let you go?
I think we've been really lucky to be able to do this together. I think that's been the best part of this whole journey. We've been filming our TV show, Experience New York Outdoors, together. And I think just the opportunity to be able to do these things in the outdoors, which is predominantly, I suppose, a man's world, has been a really great experience. And I appreciate that Trevor thought enough of me to bring me on to the show and be one of the guys today.
I think he thinks more of you than Jim, so
I'm good with that. So
Listen, somebody's got to fill the girl spot. I get it. So I'm happy to be that girl.
To me, it's just been great to be able to, in this community, is you can rub elbows with somebody that's head of a surgical department, which we do have, or the local garbage man. And the thing is, when all that stuff goes away when you hit the water. So it's to be able to cross paths with people and build relationships that don't have any bearing on personalities. It's all about fishing, having fun outdoors, and everything else. So we've met the best people of our lives through the outdoors. I mean, even like you guys, it just kind of snowballs, and you meet more and more people, and it just doesn't stop, because that's what our community is. It opens up to, it's open arms to anybody that wants to come in and experience it. And that's been our thing, is just like on the charter side, I have more fun showing this to other people, getting them to experience it. I've caught enough fish. I love catching them. I'll keep catching them. But if somebody's never reeled one in, I get a bigger smile on that. So that's been a bonus to me. That's more rewarding than just about most of it. A lot of it's a headache and a lot of pain, aggravation, blood, sweat, and tears. And like that was the whole thing. Boats. Let's buy one, and then let's buy two, and it's just like, wasn't smart enough to stay away from one, so let's go to two. What about a third?
Yeah. No.
So there's one more question. Let's pick the. We're gonna pick a winner here. Let's go. We're going to go Vermont Fishing Adventures. That'll be our winner of the drawing for today. So go ahead and send us a message with your information. We'll get you that swag package out. But before we wrap up, there is a question I want to ask you, and I asked the last group this, and I thought it was a great question, and they liked it too. And you guys are in the business, so I think you're really going to like this. Somebody walks into this show today, and they're an average walleye troller. So they got the average amount of gear somebody would have, and they wanted to spend $200 at the show. What should they buy?
Do they own a boat or not?
They've got a boat. They're doing their thing. They're out there. They're fishing. They kind of have, like, I don't know, probably, let's say they got 6 rods. They got a downrigger. They run a couple dipsies. Not a huge spread, but they're just, they're the average person. They got, what should they put in their tackle box that maybe they either need more of, or they need something that they don't have?
What's my limit?
$200.
If you put me on a higher price tag, I could tell you. You already know the answer to the one.
I know the answer, and that's why I said it at 200, because I don't want you to say that. What I want you to say is, like, some lures that maybe you think are something that maybe is underutilized out there, or maybe an organization system, or do they need a better fillet knife, or those kind of things. How would you think that $200 is another rod? How would you think that $200 would be best spent in the show?
I would buy 2 dipsies and a set of 2 or 3 boards.
I would start out with buying a label maker.
See, I don't think you'll find that at a show, but that's actually that's a good thing. I like it.
The double-sided little storage boxes, you probably saw it when you came out with this. So that's my go. That's like, we started out with, this is what we started at the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, we see what we've changed.
So Jim's up to about $50.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got some money to spend. What else we got?
Baits. I care, like Diane said before, lures. Color's more about catching fishermen. The profiles. Pay attention to what profiles for the match and a hatch. We don't really have that shad build. It's more of a minnow style. So go to Walmart and look at stuff that's a minnow style bait.
Don't buy one of anything. Always 2.
Yeah,
Always 2 of one lure.
Diane learned that.
I learned that the hard way.
We first started, she was picking lures, and she bought one, and we happened to lose it, and we couldn't even figure out what it was because we didn't have a second. So, but I would say some way to store lures from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Label maker, like you go on my boat and you'll see, like, these were on the dipsies, these were on the 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, on the downriggers, whatever they are.
I think that talks to the repeatability idea.
Like you said, and then spend some money even on the gear, like you said, rods and reels. Buy something. Don't buy the bottom line. Buy the mid-grade up, because you'll kick yourself down the line, because you'll be throwing it away instead of, if it breaks, you can repair it if it's mid-grade and up. Line. Spend a little bit more money on line. That's the big thing. And spend some time learning to tie good knots and get proficient with it. Swivels.
He really didn't spend his money, though. Yeah. So can I have his money
I'm
instead?
probably at $100.
Diane would like to spend
like, I guess.
I won't say any more about that. But no, I really appreciate you guys coming on, and again, just kind of back at you. Like, we love coming here and seeing you guys, and it's part of coming to this show for us is just walking in the door, and we just know so many people here now, and it's fun. It feels like a family reunion when we walk in the door and get to talk to everybody, and it's just a good time coming out to New York and seeing all of our New York friends and some Pennsylvania friends and Ohio friends that swing through and say hi to us. So we just enjoy being a part of
Even a few
this
with Maple
group.
Leafs.
Even a few, yeah, Canucks. They come down. We got a couple guys I know coming down tomorrow from Canada. So it's a good time just visiting with the whole crew. That's the thing that's so weird. Like, we have a guy with us this weekend that's never been to the show before. He's a new guy here at our company, and we're like, right there is Canada, and he's like, what? It's right there. It's like 2 blocks away. So it's
Congratulations to those U.S. hockey girls today.
yeah,
in the gold.
yeah. We don't want to upset our Canadian viewers and our friends in Canada, but that was a fun game.
It was fun to watch.
They had it set up in their booth, and there was a pretty big group in your booth there
was
watching that
fun.
game. So that was really cool. Well, it's Diane Steele, Jim Steele from Steele Outdoors Group, from Innovative Fishing, from Dreamcatcher Sport Fishing, and lots of other stuff. Just, again, thanks so much for coming over, guys. Appreciate you visiting with us, and have a great show the rest of the way.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching, guys.